Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Dev Mentor Dave YouTube channel, Saturday live stream. It's been a couple of weeks since we were on here, so I apologize for that. For some reason, I thought I was going to be able to be on last week, but we had things that got planned, and life happens. So hopefully you all had a good weekend or a couple of weekends without me and survived. So I'm pretty sure I'm not the thing that keeps your life going, but I'm certainly thankful to be a part of it. And when I'm able to jump on here, and thankful that you guys are willing to jump on and say hi, like some of you already have. So if you are watching live, even if you're uh, watching this after we've started and you're watching it from the beginning, I don't know if it'll let you do that or not, but jump in the chat, say hello. If you have questions as we go along the way, feel free to throw those in there, and I would be more than happy to answer them if I know the answer, or at least give my opinion. Either way, but jump in the chat, say hello, enjoy some conversation with some other people that are here. Welcome, Ming. Good to see you. Man, I've really got to. I'm getting old. I'm gonna have to go with the bifocals, I think, and it's not necessarily making me happy. That I need to sit back further to be able to read the messages that you guys are sending. So if you see me do this, or if you see me sit back, now you know why. So good to see you guys. Webwords, good to see you. Um, I'm just gonna go with Rodney because I don't know if I can pronounce that first part, if it's even supposed to be pronounced. Welcome, Rodney. I don't know uh, if you've been on here before. I don't remember seeing you, but welcome if it's your first time. So good to see everybody here. Thanks for jumping on. Yeah, that's crazy. Ming and I were actually just talking in the Dev Mentor Dave Discord server, or actually technically in Discord itself. We weren't in the server, um, but that's crazy. How long were you there, Ming? Because I know it's been a few weeks since we were on here live. But he literally told me he was working, and then all of a sudden he's like, I just got let go. Like, that's just crazy. Only 3 days. Good grief. What was the issue? Because that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, 3 days, unless there's like an actual like terrible incident that happens, like you just blow up at somebody, or something like that. 3 days is really short period of time to keep somebody. That annoys me. Looking for somebody more experienced. See, this is what I keep talking about. And I know you guys, those of you who have been on here before, this is probably like beating a dead horse. Or if you follow me on LinkedIn, a lot of times you'll hear me talk about things like this too. But this this all comes back to poor management and leadership and understanding of what they're actually looking for. Um, is there a reality that there probably are fewer jobs than there are people trying to get into the market? Maybe. I think the biggest issue is companies just don't know. First of all, they don't know what they want, and AI is really messing with that right now. AI is making companies think that they need one thing when really AI should be opening opportunities more for junior developers than for bringing in a senior developer or a mid-level developer, because AI can make a junior developer as productive as a mid-level developer for less money. So it doesn't make sense to me how many companies can be so bad at interviewing and at knowing what they're looking for. Um, and again, I would not say that the company I work for has been perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not perfect at evaluating talent. I actually really enjoy the way that we do things. We have a couple of, usually we have a couple of directors who are on the calls for interviews or in the interview itself. And we kind of play off of one another. One of us is typically a little bit more technical oriented. One of us is a little bit more relational oriented. And so that, I think that works really well. But in general, we know what we're looking for. We know what we want in a developer, um, regardless of what we're hiring them for. So it just blows my mind that companies spend so much time and effort in building out these massive processes that ultimately put them in a situation like this where they don't even know, like they can't evaluate where you're at well enough. And I don't know how many, I want to, maybe you're telling me this because you're writing on some other things, but how many levels were part of that process? How many different like steps were in that process? Because one of the things that I've noticed is companies that don't do a lot of turnover. This is a really good study. This is a really good study. I think this would be really interesting to figure out. Maybe I'll post this on LinkedIn, um, because as a poll, like I just wonder. Maybe I can get a grant. There we go. I should get a grant from the government to study this. But I can't help but wonder if companies that have less turnover have shorter processes for hiring people. That's just a guess, pulling it out of thin air. I have no clue if that's even true. But I would guess that companies that have a shorter timeline and fewer steps for hiring probably know more and better what they're looking for developers, and so they don't have to go through lots of steps. I was actually watching something on, or watching something. I was actually reading something on LinkedIn from a recruiter, and I love recruiters. I think you guys know that I've always been a fan of recruiters. Recruiters have helped me get most of the jobs that I've gotten. In fact, I think this job that I currently have is the only job that I have gotten without a recruiter. So, and that's because the owner of the company recruited me. So it's sort of a recruiter, but most of them have been external recruiters. Actually, all of them have been external recruiters. So I'm not against recruiters, but this was a recruiter post, and they were talking about how companies need to understand, ROI versus, trying to do things internally versus, using a recruiter, and the return on investment that a recruiter can give you. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're using a recruiter or if you're using an internal process. If you still don't have a good process behind that for evaluating the people that they bring in, you're going to end up with this constant turnover. And unfortunately, junior devs are often at the forefront of that turnover, because really what they're doing is they're looking for a mid-level developer at a junior level price. And again, that's not necessarily wrong. It's just a reality. Everybody wants to get the most out of what they pay, right? So that's just the way things are. But there's so many companies out there that just seem to have ludicrous processes, and the only reason I can think of why is because they either are not willing to put in the manpower, so they're not willing to give, or they're not willing to trust those who go into those interviews, or they just don't know what they're doing. And they're following processes maybe that they've seen or heard, and it's just really, really frustrating. Sorry to go off on a tangent right away on this Saturday, but that just, the whole process, hiring process, makes me frustrated most of the time, especially for you guys as junior developers, having to deal with that on top of trying to learn something brand new and jump into a world where you have no idea really how it works, and you end up getting tons of rejection or tons of turmoil and turnover. It just frustrates me. Okay, let me actually read what you're writing me and catch up here. I apologize. Oh, it is your first time. Well, welcome, Rodney. Good to have you. Hopefully it's okay if I call you Rodney. Um, let's see. Looking for more experience. Pay me for the days worked. Well, he darn well better pay you for the days worked. I mean, it's not your fault that he can't evaluate talent. All right. It was a startup and things were running thin. Okay. So again, that comes back to, if you are running a startup and you don't know how to run a business, find somebody to help you run the business, right? Like, it's, I don't know. I'm sorry. It frustrates me. Okay, let's see. One of the things to be completed, hit the ground running. Oh, okay. Wow, that's interesting. So it's just a phone call, no HR or anything like that. So it's really more of a side gig type thing, not like a full employment thing. I guess that's a little less of a issue, but still, I mean, you gotta know what you're looking for, and that's not helpful. Uh, yeah, that's annoying. How long was your jury service? That's crazy. But again, when you're in a startup like that, you got to move forward. And if you got somebody that's not available for a while, that can be a deal breaker. So I don't know. I went on a tirade. Wasn't completely valid for your specific situation, but still, I think there's a problem. You got to know what you're looking for, and just hiring and trying people doesn't help you, and it doesn't help them. Now he's got to start over with somebody brand new on the project, so that's annoying. Oh, hey Rodney, so you're doing PHP and Laravel? That's awesome. Um, Looking for a company to hire you. I don't know of anybody specifically hiring right now. Are you where are you located, Rodney? Oh, interesting. Ming says he didn't know what he was doing. He was just talking about AI. Wanted to the data pipeline to use Codex. Huh. Oh, you're in the middle of your jury service. Okay. Yeah. Who knows how long it'll be? That's crazy. Yeah, AI is the word of the day, right? I mean, that's what I put in the title. That's what we're going to use today. I mean, it is the thing that everybody's talking about, everybody wants to implement, everybody wants to build a tool around it. Um, and when you think about it, I mean, it makes sense, right? We're going to be using a tool today that I think I've shown you guys before called Windsurf. Windsurf is an IDE that's forked off of VS Code that has a cursor AI built into it. And it has the ability to connect to other things like Claude and ChatGPT and things like that. But what's funny is they haven't been around very long because AI to its current degree hasn't been around very long. But they just if everything went through, if what I read was correct, they just got acquired by ChatGPT for $3 billion with a B, $3 billion. So there's a reason why everybody's trying to jump on the AI wagon for sure. He said he can build an iOS app. Just showed me using AI. Yeah. Um. Yeah, you can build an iOS app with AI. So what we're going to do today actually, I think, speaks to that. So there are some quick wins that you can get with AI, and I think that those are good things, and I'm going to show you at least even how I was able to do that literally this week, getting some quick wins with AI. So, in fact, I think I'll change that. Let's do instead of practical vibe coding, let's call this AI quick wins. There we go. We'll just change things up a little bit. All right. So I think there are some quick ones that you can do, even developing some very basic applications. The problem is if you don't know what you're doing and what you're building and how it works, um, taking that next step and growing that company or growing that application is not going to be easy, and that's where you're going to run into a lot of issues. So something that actually happened uh, to a company that I'm familiar with, trying not to give names out. So there was a company that I know somebody who worked for them, not a technical person, but somebody who worked for them, and they had an idea for an application that was an internal application to be able to run their business, right? And they had somebody come along and they used tables, not tables plus. They used oh stink, I can't think of what's that uh stink. There's like a quick build table. Oh, it's in the name. I can't think of the name of it. Quick application table. It's not coming to me. I don't know. Anyways, they use this quick application builder, right? And the quick application builder, Google's failing me. Airtables. That's what it was. Sorry. Airtables. So they used Airtables to build out this application, and for what they were doing at the time, it met the need. But they very quickly hit a point where they needed to add functionality, and that functionality could have been added to Airtables, but it really needed to be in something that was built specifically for the way that they wanted to work. And the problem is Airtables got them to a point of kind of a proof of concept, but it was not robust enough to get them to a place of profitability. And they needed profitability either to get investment or to be able to fund a real application build that would do everything that they needed to do. And I don't know where the company's at right now. I know that last time I interacted with it was not in a good place. So that's a problem. If you just build out products with AI, there's no guarantee that it's going to last. There's no guarantee that it's going to be able to be built out further. At least not in a way that's really production ready. We've seen so many issues of security problems and things like that with AI. So even the things that we do today, these kind of quick wins with AI, I want to make sure that we're being careful and understanding that what we're doing is not building out a whole solution, right? It's not saying this is just a way that you can just build your business right away. Boom, here you go. No, these are quick wins. These are ways that AI can help you kind of do things that you need to do without having to go through the whole process of spinning up a whole application. Even, thinking about like Rodney here, working with PHP and Laravel. Laravel's an awesome framework. I love Laravel. I'm going to actually be at Laracon US here this year. So if anybody happens to be at Laracon US, say hello. I'll be with the company that I work for. And so I try not to say their name because they're very supportive of me doing this, but I don't want to drag them into anything stupid I might say. So you can find it on LinkedIn if you really want to know. So I love Laravel. I love the framework, but you don't always need that to kind of get you started or kind of validate some of your ideas and thoughts. So that's what I want to talk through and kind of show you guys this morning as we kind of go through this. So let's see. Welcome, SW. You might be new too. I don't know. I don't remember seeing you before. I know Rodney's new. SW's new. Ming's been around for a long time. Just kind of hanging out forever. But let's see. Sometimes AI suggestions are not scalable, but very easy to start tech stacks. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's kind of what we're going to do here. In fact, we're not even going to do a full tech stack. I'm going to show you kind of, without showing you exactly what I did because it was for a client, I'm going to show you kind of the concept of what I did before. So oh, cool. Wow. Awesome. Suggested for my live stream on your homepage. I assume your like YouTube homepage. That's awesome. Yeah, I ChatGPT might have told me. I don't know if it would have come up with Airtables or not. I knew I would get it if I just kept hitting my head against the wall. Yeah, Ming says AI is only good once you know your tech stack really well. In general, I would agree with that. I think there are ways that you can use it though to help you learn that are not detrimental to you uh, learning and growing, but it definitely can be something that you know keeps you from learning as well as you would have. So the man, I haven't gotten to the topic for the day. I don't know. It's already almost a half hour in. But this is what happens when people are jumping on here and actually interacting. So it's good to see everybody. Oh, hey Eddie, good to see you. Yeah, it's been a while. Welcome back. What was I thinking? Oh, learning. I don't know. It just left me. It's just too much interaction today. I can't keep track of it. Yeah, sort of, Eddie. We've done a few things on here. I've actually been out a little bit more. Work has been really busy and tiring and just other family life stuff. So I haven't been as on as often as I would like. Obviously, I haven't put up any standalone videos for a while. We're mostly just doing the live stream stuff for now. But yeah, I mean, you can always go back and watch it if you want to watch an old 2-hour live stream. Yeah, I forget what I was saying. I was saying something about learning, but oh well. If somebody happens to remember what I was starting to launch into, or has the ability to think with my mind, let me know. Yeah, enjoy, Eddie. Okay, so I do want to jump in and kind of look at some ways that AI can give you some quick wins. So this this idea was really born out of something that actually happened to me this week twice. Um, so in both instances, I don't want to go into too much detail, but in both instances, basically, I was presented with an issue, a problem that was outside of the normal application that we work on, right? So I have one of these is a client that the company I work for is their client. Another one is just a personal client, and so both of them kind of had the same thing. So we're developing or working on different applications for these clients, but they had something else come up. They had an issue or a question or something that they needed kind of a quick answer on that was outside of the actual purpose and code of the application that we are building for them. And we could have spent some time, building in some stuff into the application, but it shouldn't be there because it's not part of their everyday stuff. They just needed some quick answers. In one case, it was they had some data that they needed to be parsed and compared. In another one, it was basically hooking up to an email service and parsing through some data to be able to send emails out that was outside of their normal application. So kind of two really different scenarios and needs in those specific situations. But in both of those situations are things that I've done before. There's certainly things that I'm familiar with. I could have sat down, written out the code to do it. So it's not like I didn't have any idea where to start. But the reality is that I needed to do it quickly. And I needed to do it quickly, but I didn't need it to be part of the application that we were building. It's literally throwaway stuff. And I think that's something to keep in mind as far as kind of quick wins for AI. Quick wins for AI really are things that you can throw away or things that are going to give you a starting point for something bigger. You're not going to have a lot of quick wins when you're working with AI within an established code base within an application that's already been started, or even an application that you're building from scratch. There are maybe a few things you can get moving pretty quickly, and in that sense, maybe you can say it would help from a starting standpoint. I think somebody mentioned that a few minutes ago. Yes, there are some quick wins you can get from a starting standpoint and establishing your tech stack. But once you really get into the meat of developing an application, you're going to spend a lot of the same amount of time thinking and planning, or you should, even if even if you use AI to write the code faster, you're gonna spend time telling AI what it is that you want it to do, and that's going to take planning, and all of that can move faster. I'm not saying it's not going to move faster. It can move faster, but you're still going to be going through a lot of the same struggles that we do with normal development. It's just that you can write the code faster, right? Sometimes it'll give you good suggestions that'll help lead you in a direction maybe you hadn't thought of. But even then, you got to be careful, because just following the suggestions of AI doesn't mean that you're really sticking with what the general idea and the goal of the application was. So all of that to say, quick wins for me have really come in these kind of one-off side project things that need to be done, whether that's for a client or whether that's for something that I just want to do. And so I want to kind of show you several ways with one kind of side project idea, several ways that you could use AI to help you get some quick wins, right? So what I would like to do, and I've thought about several different types of quick questions that I would want to do, but I'll give you one that we have kind of dealt with a little bit at the place that I work, and we've actually come up with multiple solutions based off of some interaction with AI. And we're going to kind of do this from scratch. But it is this concept that came to me. I had some other ideas of things that we might could have used from like a concept standpoint. But for this kind of demo and using AI and finding some quick wins, we're going to think about working with a development team. All right. So working with a development team, and let's say we have 10 employees that are team members, right? So we've got 10 employees, and we have 2 lead developers and 8 regular developers. I like to keep things simple. We're not going to have multiple levels of developers outside of lead and dev. All right. The problem is that we have lots of different projects, and each developer has different skill sets. And we want to find the most efficient way to organize those developers on the different projects. All right, so this is a little bit vague. I get that. I don't want to dive too much into our actual issues, but I think something to kind of help us get an idea of how AI can help us in some of these situations, right? Okay, so the first thing that I like to do in something like this is I want to get data, because we need to understand multiple pieces of information about the developers, right? So we need to understand how many developers we have. We need to understand what skill sets they have, and we need to have projects, and those projects need to have some sort of skill requirement, right? So one of the first things that I really love about using AI is you can use it to build out. Sorry, something is just feel like maybe it's my whiskers. I don't know. It's driving me crazy. Sorry. So one of the things that I love about AI, using AI, is building out data, creating fake data sets. Now, for example, Rodney works with Laravel. If you've worked with Laravel very much, you know, and there are others that are like this, but you know, you can create seeders and factories and things like that let you create data specifically. But again, we're thinking more in terms of a one-off situation, at least initially, for what we're trying to build. And I've just found that while you can do that, that even takes a lot of time and effort and planning to figure that out. Whereas I can jump on to AI and I can give it information, I can add more information to it, and I can get a data set that's going to help me do the things that I want to do, and interact with data that's similar to what I'm dealing with. So let's jump over to Claude. So one of the things that I like to do is actually use a different AI. Oh, how do I always get messed up in this circle? Give me 1 second. It's kind of annoys me. There we go. Okay. Oh, it actually did it live. Very fun. All right. Okay. Sorry. So one of the things I like to do is I like to use a different LLM for creating my data than I do for the LLM that's inside my IDE. It's not necessarily necessary. I just like I like to keep a little bit of separation there, especially if what I'm working with, the LLM in my IDE would not necessarily have knowledge ahead of time of what that data would be. And I don't want my code LLM, my IDE LLM, I don't want that to necessarily be influenced from the beginning based off of the data that we create. I want it to be able to imbibe the data and then figure out what to do with it afterwards. So, because that's going to be the more likely situation if you're dealing with like an actual side project or quick issue where somebody's giving you data. So in both of those instances that I mentioned before, I got multiple files that had data already in it. So we're just kind of simulating that part of the process with this kind of first quick win here in Claude. I'm using Claude mostly because it likes to say happy Saturday to me. No, I think Claude works a little bit better for code, at least in my experience, at least writable code. This is just generating content, so we probably could have used ChatGPT, but you know, or something else, Grok, whatever. There's plenty of options out there. All right, so sometimes I will give this context. Sometimes I won't give it any context. I'll just ask for specific types of data. So I'll give it a little bit of context just so it can give me more information right out of the gate. So here's what we're going to say. I need test data for an application that deals with resource management. Of lead developers, devs, and projects. The goal is to assign devs to projects, devs and leads, to projects based on skills required by the project and by the dev, and required by the project and owned by the dev, as well as taking into account dev availability. All right. So sometimes what I'll do here is I'll just be like, what type of data do you think needs to be created, and see what it comes up with, and because I may not have all the ideas in my head of what is necessary. So what that could have been bad. What types of data should we create? Let's see what Claude comes back with. Developers, lead developers, project skills. I like that. Developer skills, project requirements, assignments, go away. Availability, operational data, time tracking, skill assessments, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's thinking in terms of a full application, right? I don't need a full application. I'm just trying to get a quick answer to some basic data. And what I do kind of want some of the data to be incomplete. Again, I'm not trying to build out a whole application here. I'm just trying to get test data that is based off of, that is going to help me kind of do a quick evaluation script so that I can give somebody an answer. All right. So that's kind of the goal of what we're building here. All right. So let's create the core entities and relational data, but nothing else. Well, we'll deal with team composition rules in the application code. So I'm not worried about doing that or this or this. So availability, assignments, project requirements, developer skills. Let's do this. Also, no need for assignments. Assignment data. Right now. Let's see. I don't know. Can you guys even read that? Try to make this a little bit bigger for you. There we go. Nothing. Nothing else. I think that's right. Core entities, relational data, but nothing else. All right, comprehensive test data for your application. So this is where we're going. So we're building out some JSON data, which is perfectly fine with me. I like JSON data. Man, that's a lot of skills. How many skills? 20 skills. So they got 20 skills. JavaScript, Python, React, Node, Postgres. Cool. All right, so we've got our skills data. We will. SW, we will use Windsurf here in a little bit. So as I said earlier, I like to actually build the data. If I'm doing test data, if I don't have data from a client or something like that, if I'm building test data for a concept, I like to build the test data with a different LLM so that my Windsurf doesn't have preconceived notions of what it wants to do ahead of time, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, we'll jump into Windsurf here in a second. Yeah, it's kind of funny, Eddie. I've gotten up to 3,200, but it keeps like pulling back, mostly because I'm not on here very frequently. So I'm sure if I was on here more frequently, we'd get more people over time. But yeah, 3,190 is a good number too. I'm certainly not belittling it for sure. All right, so we've got our skills, we've got our developers. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't tell it how many developers I wanted. 8. Oh, what do you know? It kind of figured it out. That's nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. It gave me 2 extra leads. That's fine. I can always delete 2 of them if I want. Let's see. Oh, here's our printout here. So that's good. So we've got, let me get rid of me for a second so I can show you the whole thing. Okay. So 20 skills across different categories. Excellent. Cloud DevOps. So this is nice. We've got some different skills in here outside of just basic programming. So that's interesting. 8 regular developers. Seniority levels. Interesting. What do we got here? Let's look at these developers. Role, senior level, experience, hourly capacity. Nice. Hourly capacity. Availability status. Available. Maximum team size 10. Leadership experience in years. This is a bunch of stuff we don't really need. But I think this is a good example. So something to keep in mind is a lot of times you'll get data that you don't need when you're building this out. So I think it's okay for AI to spit out some data that is unnecessary for us here. I think that makes it honestly a little bit more realistic, because a lot of times, like I said, one of the projects, actually both projects, the data that they gave me included the information that was necessary, but it also went beyond what was necessary. So there you go. All right, so we've got some relational data, developer skills, and project requirements in here as well. So that's good. We're able to see some of that mashup, which is nice. All right, now sometimes I would throw some of this data into a SQL database, or maybe a SQLite database or something like that. But I think we're just going to work with these objects as static objects in the application, just to make things easier and take less time here as we're building this out. So, all right, I'm going to copy this over to the IDE, and we're going to make a JSON file here. Rename. Okay, we'll put all this stuff in here, And let's copy it out. So first thing we've got our skills. I could probably have AI do this, but where's the fun in that? All right, so we've got skills. Let's copy those out. Bloop. We could keep them all in one file, but I like to simulate how data is probably going to be here. So we're in it. You'd probably have these in separate tables, um, stuff like that. So wait, what is this? Projects, lead developers. Oh, ha! I took it out, so it just popped to the top. There we go. Nope. And I'm sure there's better ways to do this, and you're all yelling at me, but that's all right. What's going on here? Oh. Developers.json. Kill that. Kill that. Lead developers. I probably would have put this in the same thing, but we'll just do this. Leads.js or JSON. And delete. Projects. Do we have, let's see. We didn't relate projects to people or to leads. I guess that'll be part of our assignment process. Projects. Oops. Projects.json. All right. Developer skills. You know what? I am going to do something here. We're going to assume that this information was already attached. All right. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to say, update this. I'm in the way here. Hang on. Okay. Update the data to include the relational data in the main objects instead of a separate data source. All right, so basically what I want is I want it to like put the skills on the developers and the requirements on the projects, things like that, so that we don't I want it to be all available right away to our script. I don't want to have to go through and tell it, hey, you need to pull it from these different things, mostly just for sake of time this morning. So, and of course, if you're using a specific type of data, if it's coming from an API or something like that, very likely it'll already have relational data in it. So I think this is a little bit more accurate to what you would see in real life. Yeah, Eddie, Windsurf is an IDE that has the Cursor AI built into it, and we'll see how this data ends up here. It's still thinking about it. It would be faster to do this through Windsurf, but it is what it is. I just like having the data coming in differently. So I think what we'll do is we'll actually get rid of skills. We'll get rid of we'll update these two, and we'll update this one. So really, I think we just want developers, leads, projects, and actually, I'm gonna make that even less. So once this gets done, I'm gonna give it another command, and that command is going to be let's combine. Woo. Computer does not want to keep doing this. Let's combine leads and developers into one data set with Designations. Oh, my goodness. I didn't feel like we asked it for that much information. But again, this is one of the things that AI will do. It'll go above and beyond and give you more than you need. Uh-oh, we hit a pause button. Gotta tell it to continue. You can do it, Claude. You can do it. We believe in you. I am interested to look at this, though. I don't know if I can. I think we might have killed Claude. Uh-oh. We killed Claude. Here's what we'll do. We've got skills here. And we've got this. Skill ID required. Proficiency. I don't care about the required proficiency. Well. Did we put anything in leads? We did put in leads. Oh, those are lead developer. Wait, what is going on here? What is this? Oh, that's developer. What is this? Lead developer ID, skill ID, proficiency level, years of experience. Most of that doesn't matter. Tell you what, I don't want to wait for Claude. Oh, is it done? Hang on. Developers now have skills array containing their skills, proficiency, lead developers. All right, we'll give it one more chance. What did it say? Remove separate developer skills, lead developer skills, and project requirements arrays. Perfect. All right, now we're telling it to combine. What? All right, enough with you, Claude. No more Claude. It gave us a starting point. Let me, sorry, let me move some things around here. Okay. All right, well, it gave us a starting point. Let's go over to this. And okay, we'll do this. Let's copy and paste in here. Oh, something's not happy. That's interesting. It gave us bad data. What in the world? Look at that. We just copy pasted, I think. I don't know. It didn't like it. Either way, it didn't like it. No, I didn't copy something. It didn't copy everything. That's weird. Copy. Paste. Oh, man. Something's not right. It failed us, people. It failed us. So no quick win. All right, so let's do this. We'll give the same instructions that we gave last time to our built-in one. All right, so update the data to include the relational data in the main object. Well, we have to give it more context. Okay. Let's merge. Merge the data from developers, or we could do this. We could do doop, and drag those over here. So now it knows, it has context of those two files, which is fun. Merge these developers with the correct, while noting the correct type of employee. I don't know. Maybe that's right. Maybe that's not right. We'll see what it comes up with. So it's looking at the developers JSON file. It's looking at the leads JSON file. Thinking about what it wants to do. There you go. Yeah. Let's create a new JSON. Good idea. Perfect. So it's going to, let me increase the screen size for you guys. Make this a little bit smaller. Hopefully you can read that a little bit better. Don't save. Okay. So it's creating a new JSON employees JSON file, which is cool. That's combining both of those. And so employee type is a developer or a lead. And it's keeping all the other fields as necessary. All right, perfect. Let's take this another step. Okay. Let's add this into the mix. Update each employee with a skills parameter and add applicable skills semi-randomly. I don't know if that's even a good thing to say. We'll try it. Skills.json. Update that. So I'm giving it context. Here's the skills. And it already has the context of the employee file that it just created. So there you go. Let's see what it comes up with. It's reading the skill sets. Now again, this would still take quite a bit of time, even if you're using like factories and seeders. You're gonna have to think through all these different pieces, and some of it you probably wouldn't have come up with, which might be interesting pieces of information that we could use. So let's see what it does here. So for those of you that are not familiar with Windsurf, there is a free version. I do have the basic pro version, which gets me access to a little bit more things. We're using SW1, which is their newest model, and it's free for a limited time. SW1 Lite will be free forever. But anyway, at least that's the claim. All right, so still thinking about it. It definitely is taking longer than expected. Not seeing the updates here, so I'm going to actually accept this. That's really more for if you're like using Git, but accepting the changes. You can see the difference between what was there before and what was changed. Obviously, this was brand new, so we made this file was brand new, so everything was new in that update. Let's see what's going on here. While we're waiting for there we go. Okay, so just kind of give you an idea here of some of these updates. We've got an employee type that stays the same. I've never understood why Git. Oh, it's because we're adding a comma. There you go. All right, so we added a comma to add another thing. So we've got skills, Python to Django, Postgres, Docker. That's interesting. So this just created an array of skills, right? Compared to what Claude did. Claude created these. So a skill ID and a proficiency level and years of experience, right? So Claude did a little bit more. Here we just have an array of the node names. And I want to open up skills.json file here so we can see this a little bit. It's going off of the name rather than the ID. So again, not a big deal. If we were building out an application, we'd probably want it to pull the ID instead, and we may have other parameters like Claude gave us, but we're just building out kind of a proof of concept where it's a one-off thing, right? And that's what this is really good at. We're building test data. We're going to do a one-off task that we don't need to necessarily build a whole application for, and then we're going to show maybe some proof of concept from an output standpoint as well. So all right, so we've got skills added to employees. Let's do the same thing. Let's do the same thing as requirements for projects. And I'm going to drag in the context, the projects.json file here. Bada bing. You don't always have to do that, dragging files in for context. It is a little bit better. Otherwise, it has to go figure out what the context is that you're looking for. So I think it speeds it up a little bit where you can do it. Sometimes you just want it to figure out its own stuff. Oh, this was some old data I was thinking about using. I also generated by ChatGPT. So there you go. All right, we're updating the project's JSON file now. And usually I put this on a wider screen. I have a wider screen over here. So it's not quite as cramped as you guys are seeing it. But that doesn't work very well on live stream. So we're using the smaller screen. So hopefully you guys can see this stuff as we're doing it here. Okay. I don't understand why it would remove the whole thing. Wait, what in the world? Did I copy the wrong data in? I must have copied the wrong data in the projects. That's funny. So it just created its own list of projects. Interesting. All right, so it's 8 distinct projects. Yeah, it's like I replaced the leads data with actual project data. So it's like, you idiot. All right, yeah, that's what happens when you take things in your own. My bad. I'm sorry, AI. I failed you. All right, so the projects cover various domains. Cool, cool, cool. Set of required skills. Excellent. Okay, so we'll accept that. That's acceptable, I guess. Okay, so we've got employees and we've got projects, and the employees have skills built in, and the projects have skill requirements built in as well. Okay. So now I need to describe to AI what it is I'm looking to do. I'm looking for a script. All right, this is more the important thing. I'm looking for a script, and I want this to be in PHP. And so I want a PHP script that takes into account the project's JSON file and the employees JSON file. In fact, we'll get rid of these other ones. Delete. Boom. All right. Employees JSON file and projects JSON file. I want to take into account those pieces of data, and I want it to write a script that can use that data to auto assign leads and developers to projects accurately. All right, so we're going to give it that task, and then I'm going to ask it how it thinks it should do that, because I want to see its solution and see if it varies from what I would have done or gives me an idea that I hadn't thought about. So I'm going to let it kind of teach me a little bit along the way here. Right, so please, or not please, we're too nice, right? Write a PHP script that uses, we'll call it a service that uses the employee data and the projects data. Man, I cannot type today. To auto assign leads and developers to projects based on project requirements and developer skills and availability. Don't write the service yet. Tell me what you want to. Tell me how you would solve this problem. Okay. All right. Core entities, employee project assignment, links employees to projects, role and time allocation. Good. Core algorithm. For each project without an assigned lead, filter leads by availability, score each lead based on skills. Okay, so it's going to create its own internal scoring methodology. Interesting. Assign the highest scoring available lead. All right. So sometimes you may be in a situation where you don't have the perfect lead or the perfect developer. So we're highest scoring available lead. So that's good. Developer assignment for each project, calculate remaining skills gaps for lead assignment, after lead assignment. So this is something It depends on your philosophy, right? So if your leads are also developing at the same time, or if they're more kind of management, you may or may not want it to calculate this way. So you'd want it to calculate only based off of the developers if your leads are more of a management um, style of lead versus those who are leading while doing. But our leads are our leads that lead by doing. There's a lot of lead there, so we'll leave that in there. Find developers who can fill the gaps. Score the developers. Gaps, availability status, current workload, hours, seniority match with project leads. Assign top scoring developers until team size is met or no more good matches. That's interesting. No more good matches. So when you're thinking about like resource management, I didn't tell it we're doing resource management, but sometimes it doesn't matter if they're a good match. You need to put somebody on there either to fill the project or because you can't pay them for doing nothing, right? So I definitely want to see that. All right, so we've got a scoring system. So it's giving me some information about the scoring system that it's going to create. It's got more methods in here. Notice it's giving us methods that it's not telling us about yet. I don't really care about that too much. I'll wait and see what the code does. Assignment service, scoring engine, validation service, notification service. So it's going into a lot of detail. Sometimes, especially if this is like a quick win thing, I may not want it to do all these different services, but it's going to do this pretty quickly, so I'm not too worried about it. Again, I don't necessarily want to build a whole application. See, it's already doing like API endpoints, things like that. So it's trying to build out a full application. So let's give it a little bit of requirements here. We're not building out a full application. This should just, man, I cannot type. This should just be a one-time script to handle this use case. There we go. All right. So again, part of the reason why it's doing this is because it knows that we typically work on full-blown applications, right? So since we work on full-blown applications a lot of time, it's got that in its memory, right? So we probably could have cleared the memory, but that's okay. Outputs the assignments. Here's the approach, right? Decoding JSON files, excellent. Assigning leads to projects. So here we have a much less verbose script, right? That's exactly what I wanted. Let's see. It's going to give me an output in JSON format. That works for me. All right, let's say I'll do write it. Write it. Get it done. Let's see where it actually puts the code. If it'll put it in the scripts directory or not. Oh yeah, check the brackets. I didn't care. It was data that didn't matter to me. Thanks to SW though. What did I say? Everybody left. All right, so now we've got a script, and pretty much the script that it told me it was going to write. So that's cool. Output file. We're going to change the output file because I'm not going to want all this junk in there. But let's see. Where did it put this? Let's put it in scripts. Bloop, scripts. Okay. Let's, do we want to run the script? Yeah, let's run the script. All right, let's go to our terminal. Okay. So we want to do PHP. We're going to do scripts and project assigner. Let's see what happens. Oh no! Failed to open. Oh, because it's sat. I moved it, so it doesn't know what to do. So this isn't a thing. So don't always use AI to do everything. Yeah. So I can just come in here and I can just do doot doot Do, 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 do. I can just make a quick edit. Come on. And we should be able to pull this by that. Let's try it. Seriously. Okay, we'll just have it do it. Update the links to the data. Yeah, exactly. It does make mistakes. Of course, I created the mistake here. We'll see if that works. There we go. Okay. So look how fast that was. So in the last 30 minutes, I got a quick script that auto-assigned developers based off of data that I already had. And yeah, that's cool. Okay, let's do this. Let's look at that output file real fast. Where is the output? Oh, it's just outputting it to the thing. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go. Let's do this. Whoa, what happened here? Something went wrong. Cascade died on me. I've never seen that before. That's crazy. Reload. That is the first time I've ever had Cascade die. Alright. It doesn't probably have much context, but we'll give it the file here. Update the output to be JSON and store it in the output directory. Okay, so instead of all this mumbo jumbo down here at the bottom, data project assignments. Let's see it. It does have an output file. Where would it have gone? Did we put it in here? Nope. It's not in here. It's not in there. I don't know where it put that data. Let me delete that. That's weird. It acts like it's doing it. See, now it's dying. It's having issues. JSON format for the tool call. Okay, so we've got, like, this is JSON output, right? I just don't know why it wasn't storing it in a JSON file originally. That was weird. All right, we'll accept that. Kind of clean it up. It looks fine. Let's rerun it. Oop, doop, doop. No available lead found for project. That's interesting. No available lead found for project Enterprise API Gateway. No available lead. How could it run perfectly fine before, but we got nothing? Project lead. Assign lead. Developers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many projects did we have? We have 8 projects. Let's look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 projects. We only have 4 leads, which that makes sense. Okay. Did we not? We didn't get that output before. That's interesting. Okay. Let's look at the project assignments. Okay. So we've got test data created. We've got a one-off task built, but this is not necessarily nice, easy to read information. So another thing that we can do is do a quick proof of concept or a quick prototype, right? So what I'll do next is I'll come back over here and I will make an index PHP file. say hello. Let's see if that loads over here. I'm using Herd, so oh, hello. Calendar data. That's what I called it before when I was playing around. All right, hello. All right, so that is loading the index.php file. Excellent. Okay. Let's go back to our AI, and this time we're going to say using or replace the contents of this file with a let's call it a dashboard and see what it comes up with. Dashboard that gives us relevant, I don't know, insight into how resources are distributed. And then we'll drag index.php in there. Bloop. All right, so here's what it's doing. It's pulling in the data. It already knows, because of what we've been working on, where the output data is. So that's good. It's looking at the output data, and it's looking at the employee data to make sure it understands how everything fits together and works. And then it's updating it. I'll create a comprehensive dashboard that provides insights into resource distribution. Dashboard will include project overview with a status distribution, resource allocation across projects, skills distribution, workload analysis, project timeline view. Interesting. All right, let's see what it comes up with. I actually have another question that I want to ask it now that when it gets done with this. We'll see what it looks like. It's always fun to see what, especially front end stuff, what kind of things it comes up with for design. One of the projects that I had this work on earlier this week, it just outputted a data tables with I think it's called data tables, which I have not seen that data tables stuff in years. So it was kind of cool. Get rid of some of these files. We asked it to do a lot, or actually we didn't really ask it to do a lot. We just gave it a really, really open-ended prompt, and it thought of a lot of things to do. So we'll see what it comes up with here. All right. So it's pulling in data and process assignments. Interesting. Iterating over the data. We've got some HTML. All right, let's reload. Boom. Ha! Look at that. That's nifty. Yep, you guys are in trouble. AI just took your jobs. No, I'm just kidding. Again, this looks really nice, right? This looks really nice, but it's just a one-off thing. It's not, there's no application built around it, although it wanted to try to do that, right? This is something that you could, because it's just HTML, I could literally pull this, throw it up onto, quick hosting somewhere, or just take screenshots of it, right? So, but we've got total projects 3. But I know from the output that we've got some projects that don't have assigned people, right? So let's add that. Let's add some visualizations around unfilled or projects, as well as unassigned resources. All right, so I want to see something that tells me how are there, because it only said 3 projects, right? So it said we've got 3 projects. We should not have 12 employees though, so that's a problem. And we've got 9 employees assigned. I don't know how we got to 12 employees. Let me look at the data real fast. Employees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No. Yes. 8. We do have 12. I'm an idiot. My bad. So we do have 12 employees. 4 leads, 8 devs. All right. So out of those 12, only 9 are assigned to projects. This is just kind of junk. Doesn't necessarily matter. But I'm looking for specific information, right? I want to see the distribution. And I want to know how that plays out as well. Okay. So we've added more. Tracks unfilled positions. Dashboard now provides more stuff. Okay. Let's reload it. Let's see what we got. Project staffing status. That's empty. That's not helpful. Projects and department. Employee workload. Oh, that's interesting data. 1 project, 2 projects. That's cool. So, out of the 9 assigned resources. Interesting. Top skills distribution. That's cool. I like that. Project staffing status. All right. So let's say, do we have any issues here in the old console? Nothing in the console. Okay. The project staffing status table is blank. And again, I could go through here and probably figure out what it's doing. I don't need to. For what I'm trying to get out of this, I just need code that gives me the information. I'm not looking for perfect code. I'm not looking for an application that is fully built out. I'm just looking for something for a one-off task and a quick prototype or proof of concept to visualize the information, make it a little bit nicer to present to somebody. Another way that you can do this, one of the jobs that I did this on earlier this week, was just providing an updated CSV file that only had the information that they needed based off of the multiple files that they had, right? So I did have it visually in a table, but then I also wanted it to output it to a CSV file. Okay. Okay, so let's update this and see. Here we go. Okay, so we've got projects that are filled and projects that have 1 needed. That's interesting. So it's only listing out 3 projects. Did we decrease the number of projects? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, we have 8 projects. Let's bump it down to 6 projects. But we're going to have an argument with the application. I see it shows 3 projects, but we have 6 total projects. What do I want it to do? Check the assignment script to ensure it's functioning correctly, and update the output HTML or the output to show all projects regardless of assignment status. Boom. All right, let's see what it does. Project assigner script. Another thing that I'd want to do, since we're running the script multiple times, is probably change the output file name. We'll want to replace that. So I'm going to say update the output file name to be just output.json and make it replace the data instead instead of creating a new file every time. Oh, nope, we're not going to run that yet. I want you to do some more work. All right. We're getting close to where I want to be. And again, if we were trying to do all of this and have something that was really functional, this would be at least a day's worth of work, if not more. So these quick wins of data, test data creation, being able to do a one-off task pretty quickly, and then kind of prototyping the results of that task is pretty cool. This is what we're doing here is just PHP. Yeah, PHP for the script and for the index file. Just basic PHP. We're not using any sort of framework. Kelly, welcome, Kelly. By the way. All right, run it. Yeah, let's run it. So we got the same warnings. Could not assign. No available lead. That's really interesting. All right. And that is done. Let's see what our results are. Refresh. Okay, we got more projects. We got all 6 projects now, so that's good. That's working better. Down here we've got, ooh, that's kind of cool. I like it. It's nice. Okay, so we've got all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 projects. Tells us how many we need. Let's add some more requirements to this script, just for fun. Let's say, update the script to ensure all projects have a minimum of 1 lead, even if that requires splitting time between multiple projects. All right, so I want all of my projects to at least have a lead on it, to where that may or may not fulfill all of the time requirements or even all the skill requirements, but I want to make sure that there's at least somebody working on every single one of the projects. Let's see what it comes up with. And again, this is where, originally I called this vibe coding things. We'll update this vibe coding quick wins instead of AI. So vibe coding quick wins. There we go. Again, we're kind of accepting most of the things that it outputs, tweaking things here and there to get what we want. But the goal is to have it kind of figure out how to do what I want to do without me having to sit down and go through it. Again, is this something that I could do? Yes. I have done it. I have the ability and the knowledge to be able to build this out, but for a one-off thing, for something that's quick, that needs to get done now, AI can be a really helpful, useful tool that you can vibe code fairly quickly, a solution to help you out. All right, so it's updating the developer assignment section now as well to work with the new lead assignment logic. So it recognizes something else needs to change. You can do it. We keep jumping around a little bit here on people who are online. So if you're still online, say hi. We'll have to update the index to pull in the correct file, because I told it I want to use output.json moving forward. Let's see if it updated. Well, it had to have, because yeah, output.json. Okay, we're good. All right, so we've got some updates going on here. It makes sense. It reminds me of the startup. Yeah, and again, that's a bad way of thinking about it. I only want to do this in something that I know is not. In fact, in both instances, right? So in one instance, that we are actually going to do something similar in the application, but we didn't have time to put it in the application fully. In the second instance, it was something completely separate from everything else that they're doing that they're not going to do often, right? So it doesn't have to be something that is built in, shouldn't be built into their current software solution. And then secondly, isn't something that they're going to rely upon. So it can be very quickly created, right? All right, so we're running it again. Could only assign Zeal developers. Okay, that's good. We've got some different outputs here. 2 pass lead assignment. Good, 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 good. Interesting. Okay. We will accept those changes and reload the page. Boom. All right, 6 projects. Assigned resources. Why are we only getting 9 assigned resources? It doesn't make sense to me. All right. Give me in the index file, I'll just say in the dashboard, let me see what resources are not assigned and their skill sets. I want to see why it's not assigning these, some of these developers. I would assume developers. Because every developer, every employee is on 2 projects now. Like, I don't know. That seems unrealistic. Interesting. Is it done? Nope, still thinking. Cloud infrastructure mitigation, unfilled positions. Oh, so these are the positions that need to be filled. Customer portal enhancement, enterprise API gateway. We come up with some weird stuff sometimes when you get data from AI. Bing says, I remember when the board meeting, the investor was like, we need QAs to test the app. And the CEO was like, no code is perfect. We can fix it later. Yeah. No bueno. Even if you don't have QA, at least at the very least have some sort of like process where the users or where the client actually does some testing. That's bad. Still don't see anything. It's taking a long time. Yeah, I agree. This request is taking longer than expected. It's made a lot of edits, though. Excellent. Let's test it. Unassigned resources. 0% of resources available. That's impossible. Okay. How can I have 0 unassigned resources and yet have only 9 of 12 resources assigned based on the dashboard stats? I agree. They may not be properly tracked. So why don't you fix that for me, AI? Yeah. Was the CEO non-technical? That's an interesting question, Ming. That doesn't make any sense. It says an employee won't be counted as unassigned if they are not a developer or a lead. They're marked as unavailable, or their ID exists in the workload array even with a value of 0. Yeah, let's fix this. So it's kind of nice. It gives us the information about the code, right? It tells us this is what it's doing. This is probably why it's not working the way you want it to. And then let's make some changes. And we're just going to vibe code the changes. Yeah. Woo! Oh, he wasn't. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, man. People think that they can build stuff just because they know how to talk to AI, or they think they know how to talk to AI. But I mean, this is a perfect example. If this were an actual product we were trying to build, that would not be good. I mean, it looks nice. Again, like stuff like this. This is a great prototype. This is a great proof of concept. It's a great way of showing somebody what's possible. But this is not something you're going to sell, and so not something you should sell. I think it's interesting. This is not showing either. Do we have any console errors? Nope, no console errors. Are we done yet? We are done. All right, still have 0 resources available. Availability. 0% assigned, 0% available. We're going backwards. We're going backwards. Still the same issue. Now, new stuff shows 0 available and 0. Well, let's do this. Examine the output and see if the script is not storing it, not giving us the right data. So it might be an issue with the project because we didn't rerun anything on the project assigner in the output. So it's trying to use the same data that was there. So we've got assigned leads. It's saying that it's assigned to 12 developers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe we did. Did we not run it? I thought we ran it again. Script doesn't ensure leads are only assigned to one project at a time. Well, I don't want it to. Now it's getting out of hand. See, now it's just going crazy. And this is where vibe coding fails. So now it's trying to make a bunch of changes to stuff that we wanted to change specifically. Output only includes project with assigned leads. Potentially missing projects without leads. Summary only counts developers, not leads. In developers assigned. That doesn't make any sense. Total resources, 0. Yeah, we definitely took a step backward here. So, anyway, this is also, let's let's update our title of the video again. So, vibe coding quick wins and even quicker losses. There you go. All right. We'll make it accurate. Yeah, Ming says so many people are walking into AI without knowing anything about how it works. Yeah. Oh, man. So we had an issue. So something that I always warn people about. I think we're gonna be done with the AI today. it's failing us now. So something that I always warn people about is that AI or LLM specifically, their goal is to make you happy. Their goal is to give you something that makes you satisfied with what you've asked it to do. It's not necessarily designed to figure out the right thing or the best thing or the truest thing. So there was actually something that happened with, I think it was the Chicago Tribune recently, that put out a syndicated list or some sort of like summer guide thing, right? And when they were going through and looking at it, they found that this was after it was published. They found that a bunch of the citations that were in it, quotations from people in different other publications, things like that, either the author or the quote or even the publication itself was completely hallucinated by AI because they used AI to help write the article. That is a poor assumption that AI is pulling everything from real sources. It's not. It's using the sources that it has, and it's trying to generate what it thinks you want to see. So just because it can write really well doesn't mean it's writing accurately, and it also can feed into some of your own biases. I've noticed that myself. I'd ask it things, and based on previous discussions, it's giving me information, and I'm like, or it's giving me a question, an answer that it thinks I want to hear, and so I start challenging the question, and it's interesting. Most of the time it'll agree with the challenge to the question as well. So we have to be very careful in recognizing that AI is not necessarily a source of truth. It is a tool, but it's not necessarily 100% accurate. As far as it has access to good truth, then it can provide accurate information. But if it doesn't have that information, we have to be very careful to manage our expectations and manage our usage of it, because it can hallucinate. Even here today, this is why we add the even quicker losses to the title of the video, because or the live stream, because it started going downhill. We look at the page, and it started out as a pretty nice little application, nice little script that ran, a nice little view that gave us some insight into the data that was outputted from that script. All of a sudden, we start asking some different questions and asking it to manipulate what it originally did, and it starts hallucinating problems out of things that we specifically wanted. For example, it said that we need to make sure that leads are only assigned to one project, and I specifically told it I want all the projects covered, even if that means splitting time between leads. So we're dealing with something that is going off of oftentimes its own idea of what is best, not necessarily based on your prompts, or it's going based off of what it thinks is going to make you happy, what it thinks is going to make you satisfied with it, with your usage. And that's something we have to be really, really careful about when building AI products and when building products with AI. So just a little bit of a warning out there for you guys as we wrap this up today. So Ming says, I can spend hours on AI to fix something but still get no solution. That's absolutely true. It really questions my fundamentals sometimes, and it should, because at the end of the day, you should be able to build whatever you're asking AI to build. And if you can't, then you need to go learn how to do that, because you need to know when it's not doing it well. And again, we didn't, with something that's more vibe coding things, quick win things, we're not going to spend the time evaluating it as much. But especially if you're using it in a real world environment, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know what it's doing. You need to be able to guide it much better and much more succinctly and quickly, and even take the time to make changes yourself. Don't just require AI to make all your changes for you. Make changes yourself. It's something simple. It's faster for you to do it. Do it. That you're a developer. Do it. Let's see. Kelly says, sometimes I just read docs to figure out fixing my bugs after hours of AI just misleading me. Yeah, absolutely. Now, one nice thing is a lot of times you can point some of these models to documentation, and that can help. But yeah, if the model is behind and the documentation's newer, I mean, you're probably going to be faster sometimes you can copy paste some documentation in and give it a jump start too. But yeah, I mean, we have to remember that AI is just a tool, and the tool is only going to be as good as we know how to use it, um, and as well as we implement it. If we're implementing it for the right things, you don't use a hammer to replace your pipes, right? Hopefully not. You're going to use a pipe wrench for that. You need something that is built for a tool that is built for that use case. So, um, Ming says it's really good for UI designs, though my CSS isn't great, but I just need to make a few tweaks to make it look reasonably good. I will say I have a love-hate relationship with AI in UI design. If I can give it a framework like Tailwind UI or something like that, that usually works better for me than just letting it do whatever it wants. Um, but and I don't know what it used here. That's a good question. Let's jump over. Let's see. Well, we got text 3XL font bold, text gray 800. Looks it's probably using Tailwind. Yeah, Tailwind CSS. So, I mean, it's using Tailwind probably because I've used Tailwind with other projects in this IDE. It's making that assumption, but yeah. So it can do some really nice things and tweak things as you go. Yeah, ChatGPT really has not been a great source for code. Claude is better. I haven't messed with Grok yet. Um, I'm pretty much a fan of Windsurf. I think they've done a good job of implementing. It's not perfect, as you saw. It loses its mind sometimes, but I think overall it's pretty helpful, and it's at least a good starting point. Sometimes I'll jump between that and VS Code just because I want to do stuff without the extra uh, stuff going on that will distract me. So there's that. Anyway, hopefully this has been somewhat helpful to you, or at least interesting. I think there are some good practical things that you can ways that you can get quick wins with vibe coding and AI. But there is a limit, right? And we saw that limit starting to take place. So some of that limit may be around um, what how we're interacting with it. So maybe it's a learning curve there. Some of it may be just around its own inabilities or hallucinations, things like that. So hopefully at least gave you some ideas on how you can use AI to maybe help solve some quick problems, some ancillary problems that are not part of another project. That you just need to help somebody solve some quick wins. I think that's really helpful, especially when you think about small businesses that just need some basic insights into things, and maybe they have data, maybe they even have data that's pulled from another application like Salesforce or something like that, to be able to get that CSV or whatever type of data that is, and have AI write a very quick application, whether that's PHP, whether that's Python or JavaScript, whatever it is that you're going to use to do that, have it write that script. I typically prefer PHP or Node or something like that I dive into, but you could also use it to help you maybe learn something new, like Python. I had one of the scripts I had was a Python script, and I don't really use Python. I can read it, I can understand it, but I'm not going to fix it. So that's something to be aware of too. If you have it do it in a language you're not familiar with, you can't as easily debug it because you don't really know what's going on with it. So some things to keep in mind that hopefully will help you in your journey of learning, in your journey of using AI effectively, for more than just even finishing the tickets you might have at a job or something like that. Let's see. Ming says, how can I identify shady startups? Um, well, here's the problem. Here's what you need to know about all startups. All startups are incredibly risky. Um, we use the term startup almost almost differently than we do for a small business, but the statistics are actually probably even worse than most brick and mortar small businesses. Um, the reality is that most small businesses, whether it's brick and mortar, whether it's a startup, tech startup, something like that, most of them fail. Um, and that doesn't mean that you can't make a really good living jumping from startup to startup to startup. I actually know developers who typically do that. They make good money because they're good at what they do, and so they are helpful to the startup. It's not like they're hurting other people or something like that. They know what they're doing, and they can help the startup in many ways. But there's so much that goes into the success of a startup that it's it's hard to know it's hard to nail down the exact things to look for. I would say from an employment standpoint, um, I would if they're so for example this one that you just had, Ming, if they're just hiring you randomly, there's no real process to it. Um, they don't have more organized team structure. Especially for junior devs, I would not do it. If you want to be on a startup as a junior dev, I would go into a startup that is already well established startup. Maybe they've been around for a year. One that has multiple developers um, with varying skill sets already. So I would be asking those questions, like how many developers do you currently have? What are the skill sets that they have? Um, how does my skill set fit into that as a junior developer? I would want to know the makeup of the team. I would want to know how long the other members of the team had been there. Um, what type of experience the people in charge have, whether it's technical, non-technical, sales. A lot of times startups will jump right into sales earlier than they should, and they'll have a salesperson on staff that's eating up funds but not really able to do anything yet because the product isn't in a place where it can be sold. So they'll waste a lot of money on strategy, but at the end of the day end up shutting down because they spent so much time and money on strategy they didn't have time and money to finish the product. So those are some things I think that at least would be helpful. Find out the team dynamics. As a junior developer, I would not recommend being the only developer or being one of just a few developers. I would say you'd want at least 4 or 5 other developers, and most of those should be senior level developers, mid senior level developers who have some experience. If they don't have that, I would not recommend pursuing a full time position with them. Maybe doing some help on the side, on an hourly basis or something like that. And maybe that's what this guy was thinking. Maybe he wasn't necessarily thinking of you full time, but yeah, even most startups that are legitimate startups are started by legitimate business people, if that makes sense. Um, the ones that are started by non-business people, the ones that are run by non-business people, have a higher rate of failure because they may have a really good product and a really cool product. They may even know what they're doing as far as technical stuff. They don't know what they're doing as far as business stuff and or sales or things like that. So I would prefer that junior devs don't work on startups unless it's an established startup that has uh, an already proven track record of success. Obviously, not necessarily making it. You can have a successful startup that is still considered a startup because they're still being funded. They're not profitable yet. Um, so I don't know. Hopefully that helps maybe a little bit, give you some ideas there. But I think I would try to steer away from startups because what you really want as a junior is you want an established company that you can get into and grow in. And startups just are not necessarily set up for that. They're set up to move quickly and to build a product quickly, to get it to market quickly so that you can make money less quickly, right? So I don't know that that's the best environment for a junior developer, and I would generally caution junior developers from jumping into that. That may just be what's out there and available in the market, and I get that. So I mean, if that's what you have to take, that's what you have to take. But just understand the reality of that. going in that it may not last. Now, excuse me, some of the issues you've dealt with, I think, are more issues of people not being able to, not knowing what they're doing, not knowing how to hire people, um, which is inherently a problem with startups a lot of times as well, but not necessarily the reasons for startup failure. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one, I mean, because it seems like those are mainly the things that are available to you at the moment. Um, I think you just have to know going in that, or assume going in that it's not a permanent thing. Kelly says, I'll definitely take any job at all at any startup to gain experience. Been doing a lot of practices and I just wish to get that working environment experience. Yeah, I totally get that. Definitely get that. And here's the thing. There's a lot of startups that are good startups that are well managed and well run and can be great. I think the hard thing is evaluating where the startup is at before you sign up, right? Because you want a startup that's not just going to give you experience in your dev skills, but give you people to work with that's going to um, be able to enhance your skill set as well. That's going to be able to step in and teach you things when you need to be taught. So Ming says, I checked my CEO's experience, but he had like 2 to 3 months in one startup here and there. So yeah, really cautious. Yeah. Yeah, if your CEO can't even stay at startups, that's probably a bad sign. Just to be honest with you. So anyway, that's really unfortunate. For those who maybe were not on earlier, Ming and I were talking before the live stream in the Discord server, and he was telling me that what he was working on. He had a job, and then literally like a few minutes later, he's like, "Well, just got a call and got fired." So that's just crazy. You've had more issues uh, with those types of people than anybody I know. I think maybe because you're just not as scared as other people are to take some of those risks, but I think that's just something you have to keep in mind. That's inherent with working with any startup is there's going to be a lot of assumptions and presumptions, and they're not necessarily going to be accurate. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, this is, and again, this is not necessarily an indictment on offshore work or things like that, but that the company I work for, we only hire in the United States because that's a real thing. Being able to get the help when you need it across in the United States is across 4 time zones. So, well, more if you count Alaska and Hawaii, but the mainland, 4 time zones. That's enough of a time difference, but when you're all over the world, that makes communication much more difficult. So that might be something I would even add to my questions moving forward too. Meaning is, what where is everybody? How widespread are they? What's the communication like? What's the availability like? Because you'll need to know if that's going to work in your favor moving forward. So anyway, we are butting up right up against 2 hours today, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks everybody for jumping in the chat, especially those who were on much earlier, couldn't stay for the whole 2 hours. I get it. Plus, it's probably not extremely exciting the whole time watching me struggle with AI. Hopefully, it was at least humorous at some points. But thanks for jumping in. Thanks for chatting and throwing in your questions and your comments and even your mockery of me at times if necessary. So thanks for doing that. Hey, if you're still watching this, hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it if you haven't already. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. We'll try to be a little bit more consistent here on Saturdays getting in to the summer. There will be some times that I'll be out, but I'll try to do something hopefully a little bit less busy, do some more live streams throughout the week on those times too. So anyway, thank you for jumping on here. Absolutely, as always, feel free to join the Discord server. Hit me up on Discord. I don't get in there very often, but if I see a message from it, I'll try to respond there as well. So I'll have to go back and see how old that other message was. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks. Have a great. Yeah, absolutely, Kelly. Have a great day, great weekend, and it's a holiday weekend for us on Monday, so get some extra time off. I don't know if you guys do or not, but if you do, have a great holiday weekend as well. So I will see you all. Should see you all next Saturday, 10 a.m. See you then.